Good evening and welcome to the biggest event in the Irish literary calendar, and it's just about to get underway.
Tonight we welcome the booksellers, the publishers and of course the authors who've given us such fantastic books to read over the last 12 months.
Now, many of these authors have already established themselves amongst the world's literary giants. Others, though, are just at the start of that incredible journey.
And there's a special place for one Irish writer as we celebrate his unique place in Irish literature. And the industry will welcome one major international best-selling author.
We're in for a great night, so stay tuned for the 2016 Bord Gáis Energy Irish Book Awards.
Yeah, it's a brilliant night, and it's all new territory to me. You know, it's very new to me. I'm looking forward to meeting some new people and having a great evening.
You know, it's really, really gratifying to know that people are still reading you, and people are still enjoying you, and that what you do still, you know, makes a difference to somebody.
It's amazing to bring everyone together. You're having a celebration, rewarding people that deserve it. It's amazing. I'm just so delighted to be included.
Obviously, when I got the phone call that I'd been shortlisted, it was a great honour, and then to see the category of people that were in there, it was amazing. And you know, we'll have to see what tonight brings.
We're very proud to be involved because there's such great talent across Ireland in reading.
It's very hard to explain, but I think when you're at this event, it is a team thing. Like, the publishers flown over, everybody has put so much work into it. It's not just me, you're kind of accepting it on behalf of everybody.
And yeah, isn't it fantastic that, you know, in a world of constant new technology, that books are something still so valuable.
I was delighted to be included in the company. I really did feel like, wow, I'm in the same list with all of these amazing writers. I felt I did not deserve that, but I'm very, very happy I'm in it.
We're very literary people, and I hope books still continue to be written and to be read.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are all very welcome to the 2016 Bord Gáis Energy Irish Book Awards. I am delighted to be a part of these awards again. And tonight, we celebrate the masters of language, the dream weavers who help us to soar above the sound and the fury of an increasingly troubled world. So please, a huge welcome and a huge thank you to all of our shortlisted authors who are here with us tonight. Now, in just a few moments, we're going to get to the first award. But before that, please welcome Evelyn O'Rourke. She's going to be speaking to all of our winning authors backstage tonight. Evelyn.
Hi Keelan, and thank you so much. Yes, it is great to be here again. And I'm speaking to you, of course, from our winners' green room, where we are surrounded by book club members, and they were all pretty excited to hear more from our writers, aren't you? Of course, we have no idea as yet which writers will be coming to visit with us here, but we'll make sure to make all of them very, very welcome. So, Keelan, we're all here, we're ready, we're waiting and looking forward to the awards. So, goodbye from the green room for now.
Evelyn, thank you very much indeed. Now, we will be getting updates from Evelyn in the green room throughout the evening. Before we begin the awards, I'd like to take just a moment to thank the people who make all of this possible, and that's you, the people at home, the people who buy and read the books that we're talking about tonight. And remember, you can still vote for any of tonight's winners to win the overall Bord Gáis Energy Book of the Year award. What you have to do is to log on to bgeirishbookawards.ie. You can do so straight after the show and choose your Book of the Year from all of tonight's winners. Well, now to the first award of the evening. Now, this is an award which owes an awful lot to the energy and to the enthusiasm of its genial and its enormously well-read host. He is a true evangelist for the joys of reading, and his hand-picked shortlist always brings together an exciting and an eclectic mix. We are, of course, talking about RTE Radio 1's Ryan Tubridy Show Listener's Choice Award. So please, a huge welcome for Ryan Tubridy.
Keelan mentioned something about weaving dreams, and it's been a weird week for, I think, all of us. And all I'll say is that to the writers here tonight, you are the writers of words, and you are the weavers of dreams, and for the next 4 years at least, We need you. So thank you. And keep doing what you do. And so to our category that myself and my indefatigable team have helped put together. These, ladies and gentlemen, are the nominees.
Lying in Wait, Liz Nugent, Penguin Ireland. Conclave, Robert Harris, Hutchinson. Dictatorship, My Teenage War with OCD, Rebecca Ryan, On-Stream Publications Limited. All Through the Night, edited by Mary Heaney, Poetry Ireland. All We Shall Know, Donal Ryan, Doubleday Ireland. Victim Without a Face, Stefan Anhem, Head of Zeus.
I have no idea who's won this, and I can tell you now that the RTÉ Radio 1 Ryan Tubridy Show Listener's Choice Award 2016 goes to a wonderful writer of a great book. Here's a shock. It's Liz Nugent and Lying in Wait.
Thank you. Thanks very much. I'm in shock again. Thank you. I have to thank, first of all, Ryan Tubridy, who has been a huge, huge supporter of books. And, you know, he's in his Gáis with the Ryan Tubridy Show, he has made books a priority, and he talks about them all the time. And not just my books. He talks about loads of people's books, and it's fantastic. And for that, we're really grateful, really grateful. He doesn't, I think, realise the difference that he makes. All of us nominees, unfortunately, have something in common with Donald Trump in that we've all written a book. One of the bazillion differences between us and Donald Trump is that we've all read a book. Thank you, and have a wonderful night, and thank you, bye.
So, Liz, here we are again.
I know.
Second novel, second win for you here at the Irish Book Awards. Your career has really just taken off so brilliantly.
I'm a two-trick pony. What can I say? That's what it feels like. I'm shocked, stunned, amazed, delighted.
Remind us again of your opening line, because you were the queen of opening lines.
My husband did not mean to kill Annie Doyle, but the lying tramp deserved it.
But talk to us a little bit about this crime fiction label. Is it something you're comfortable with? Do you embrace it?
I'm delighted with it because, you know, crime fiction has become such a broad church now. It used to be just that it was cops and robbers and detectives and investigating murders and you know, serial killers and everything. And now it's broadened out and it encompasses domestic noir and what they call cozy crime and all kinds of thrillers and spy thrillers. Crime is it's a really broad genre, and I have to say it's also a lot more commercial than a lot of other genres, so I'm quite happy to be in the crime family now. And the other crime writers who were nominated along with me have all written super books, and I urge all the readers here to read all of the other books in the list as well, because they're great.
Now, whenever anybody has a successful book, immediately the rumour goes that there's a TV series and movies and all sorts of contracts in America happening, for example. Can you say yes to any of those?
Yeah, I can say that, Simon & Schuster have bought the two books, Unravelling Oliver and Lying in Wait, and will be publishing in America next year. I can say that Unravelling Oliver is going to be an ITV 6-part drama series, and I can tell you that Lying in Wait is under negotiation at the moment, but I can't tell you any more.
You gave us 5 Well, look, Liz, take your water and your trophy.
It would make a great murder weapon, wouldn't it?
Do you know,
seriously, you've seen it. You could do real damage with this.
Why do you think I'm giving it back to you?
It might be the plot for the next book, you know.
Any excuse to see you again here, even if it has to be
Thank you so much.
Congratulations again, Liz. Now back to Keelan on the main stage.
The next award is the National Book Token's Non-Fiction Book of the Year. And if the Irish are fond of a story, which of course we are, we're equally fond of a true story, which is why biography, memoir, history and books on public life and culture are so popular in this culture. Well, here are the 6 shortlisted books.
I Read the News Today, Oh Boy, Paul Howard, Picador. Ireland, the Autobiography, John Bowman, Penguin Ireland. The Hurley Maker's Son, Patrick Deely, Doubleday Ireland. The Supreme Court, Rowan McCormack, Penguin Ireland. Timepieces, a Dublin memoir, John Banville, photographs by Paul Joyce, Hachette Books Ireland. When Ideas Matter, Michael D. Higgins, Head of Zeus.
Now we're joined by Alex DeBerry, who's Managing Director of National Book Tokens Limited. Alex.
Thank you. The National Book Tokens Non-Fiction Book of the Year 2016 goes to Paul Howard. I read the news today. Oh boy.
Thank you very much. I prepared something just in case. I feel very, very privileged that I was the one who got to tell this story about this young and very special Irishman called Tara Brown, who inspired the opening lines of, for me, the greatest Beatles song ever written, and inspired a lot of other people as well during his tragically foreshortened life. I just want to say, writing a biography like this is a very intrusive process. You enter into people's lives and you ask them to share their secrets with you. And I couldn't have written this without the very kind help of Tara's brother, Gareth Brown, who's been a patron of the arts in this country for more than 50 years. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, obviously, we are so used to heaping praise on you for the Ross O'Carroll Kelly series, but this is your non-fiction book. I read the news today, oh boy.
Yeah.
As a well-known fiction writer, what was it about a non-fiction story that drew you?
The subject of the book was Tara Brown, and when I was a kid, my favourite Beatles song was A Day in the Life, and there was something about those opening lines in that song about this. I read the news today, oh boy, about a lucky man who made the grade, and then he blew his mind out in a car. He didn't notice that the lights had changed. That image of all these people standing looking at this car accident, the aftermath of the car accident, just blew me away as a kid. And there's a lot of songs that end with a tragedy, but there's not many songs that begin with a tragedy. So I was always fascinated by it.
Talk to me about the responsibility of bringing Tara's story to the page, where it was going to be dramatic, but you had to be careful.
It's huge, the responsibility, because you want to do justice to the subject, but you want to tell the truth. As a journalist, you want to tell the truth. I was quite fortunate in meeting Gareth, because Gareth is very committed to the arts, and he's friends with writers. You know, he knows John Montague, he knew Brendan Behan, you know, he's friends with lots and lots of writers. But it was still, you know, it's still a big job to take on, because Tara was Gareth's, they were very close, and losing him when he did, Tara was 21 and Gareth was 27. I think it's been a huge scar on Gareth's life to lose his brother, and they were getting to that point in life where the age difference between them was ceasing to matter, and they were becoming closer, and their friendship was really crystallizing. And yeah, like I said, I mean, Gareth is still, you know, devastated by the loss of Tara, and you know, so that was the challenge for me, to do him justice and to write a book that reflected what really happened.
Well done. Huge congratulations, Paul, on winning the non-fiction book.
Thanks very much, Evelyn.
Well, now we come to the Bord Gáis Energy Sports Book of the Year, an award which has been won by Irish sporting heroes such as Johnny Giles, Paul McGrath and Brian O'Driscoll. From the smallest GAA club to the sporting temples of the Aviva, Croke Park itself, sport in Ireland is celebrated with passionate intensity. And the nominated authors for this award are very well familiar with that passion. They are
Blood, Sweat and McAteer, Jason McAteer, Hachette Books Ireland. Coolmore Stud, Ireland's greatest sporting success story, Alan Conway, Mercier Press. My Life in Rugby, Donal Lenihan, Transworld Ireland. Out of Control, Cathal McCarran with Christy O'Connor, Simon & Schuster. The Battle, Paul O'Connell, Penguin Ireland. Win or Learn, John Kavanagh, Penguin Ireland.
The nominations for Sports Book of the Year. Well, Dave Kerwin is back with us on stage to announce our winner.
Thanks, Keelan. The Bord Gáis Energy Sports Book of the Year 2016 goes to Paul O'Connell for The Battle.
As a rugby player, I feel very intellectually out of my depth here tonight. I never thought I'd share an award stage with Gilly Cooper or John Montague for that matter. So I wasn't clever enough to write this book on my own. I was lucky when I agreed to do the book back in 2009 that Alan English came on board to help me as a ghostwriter. And, you know, we've been at it 7 years. Poor Anne, his wife, I'd say was happy to get him back, or maybe she wasn't, I'm not so sure. But I think, you know, I was delighted with the book. I think to write a book about yourself is a difficult thing to do. You know, for me anyway, I felt very awkward. I still feel awkward when I walk past it in the shop and I see it for sale in the shop. So I was really happy with what we produced, and a big part of that was down to the work, the commitment, the passion and the ambition that Alan English had for the book with me as well. So I really want to thank him very much for that. You know, it's funny, for all that's happened in my rugby career, the feeling to walk past a small little bookshop and to see 3 or 4 of my books in the window is a great thing. So thank you very much, and have a great evening. Thank you. Cheers.
Okay, so Paul O'Connell, you've been capped, what, over 100 times, you've won Triple Crowns, you've won everything. And here you are with yet another trophy for the cabinet, but for a book. Did you expect it?
I didn't expect it. I thought we'd a decent enough story to tell in terms of, you know, sports. Probably a fairly boring life outside of rugby, but in terms of rugby, and some of the challenges I went through and trying to be as good as I could be, I thought there was an interesting enough story there.
The title, The Battle, it's such a great title for you, I think, because it sums up the battle on the pitch, which we all know about, but also battles off the pitch. Talk to me about what you think this title means.
Yeah, that's essentially what it was. You know, I would have myself down as a battler of a player. You know, I was a high work rate type of player. And then throughout my career, I had all sorts of injuries to deal with, and I was always trying to be as good as I could be despite those injuries. I think like everyone then as well, I had doubts, and I was always trying to manage those and figure them out. At times, you know, I loved rugby, but at times I didn't really enjoy it as much as I should have, and I was always trying to figure that out as well.
And as you said, you know, writing it helped you, I suppose, log it and look back at what it was. Are you proud of you, the you that we read about on the pages here?
Yeah, most of it. I mean, there's plenty of stuff I wouldn't be proud of, but we all make mistakes. It's part and parcel of life. You got to learn from them. By the end of my career, I'd figured an awful lot of stuff out. I felt I was in a very good place in terms of how I prepared for games, but that probably coincided with my body beginning to pack in on me, which was unfortunate. So I was chatting to John Montague, the poet out there. I said, that's the one thing he has. He can stay working until he's 87 or whatever age he is. Whereas as a rugby player, once you hit 35, you're in trouble. Your body starts giving in.
Are you going to start writing poetry, Paul? Is that what you're telling me?
No, that'll be a step too far.
Paul O'Connell, huge congratulations on winning Sports Book of the Year.
Cheers, thanks so much.
Well, now the second award this evening is one of 2 awards made to individual writers who've made very special contributions to the world of books over long and illustrious careers. The Bord Gáis Energy International Recognition Award this year goes to one of the most prolific and popular writers of our time, a writer whose deliciously risque equine tales have been delighting Irish readers for over 30 years. She's the author of more than 40 best-selling books. They've been translated into over 14 languages and have sold in their millions worldwide. She is, of course, the fabulous Gilly Cooper. Well, now to present Gilly with her award, please welcome one of her greatest admirers and our very own doyenne of popular fiction, Marion Keyes, along with David Kerwin, Managing Director of Bord Gáis Energy.
lads. This is one of the high points of my life. I have loved Gilly Cooper for decades and decades, for well over 30 years. I've been reading her books since the early 80s, and there were 4 of us who were friends, 3 girls and a gay man, and we used to spend entire weekends squashed into a double bed in a freezing flat in Rathmines, and we'd retell the plots of Emily and Bella and Harriet and all of them, but instead of the characters Gilly had written, we'd insert ourselves and whatever unattainable fella we fancied into the starring roles, and it was great. And because the heroines were modern, relatable women who were forever falling in love with inappropriate men, they undoubtedly acted as inspiration for when I started to write. And so many authors have cited her as their inspiration. Then, in 1985, came Riders. That was the first of the Routier books, and the effect was seismic. I mean, I still remember it. Riders had a great verve, an enormous cast, and enormous confidence. Also, which does exactly what it says on the tin, candour, lots of riding. The Telegraph said it was a vast, sprawling tale of passion, adultery, even more adultery, and show jumping. And it's hard waiting the 3 years between the books, but it's always worth it, because a new Gilly Cooper provides an elaborate, dazzling world to escape into, like a world of intrigue and glamour, where bowed, sexy men cause mayhem, but always in the end, the ordinary, likeable woman gets what she wants. And for me, that's the key to Gilly's enduring appeal, that her books are always grounded by sympathetic characters that we can all identify with. I'm so grateful to you, Gilly, for the countless happy hours of reading pleasure you've given us all. And it's a privilege to welcome to the stage the winner of the 2016 Bord Gáis Energy International Recognition Award, Gilly Cooper.
I'm finished, actually. I'm so excited. Ever since my parents took me on holiday to the island of Achill when I was a child, I've been in love with Ireland. Land of Yeats, Synge, Somerville and Ross, and Marion Keyes. When I first won this award, I just burst into tears of joy. It was the most heavenly compliment I think I've ever received. I still can't believe I've been honoured in this way, but any excuse to come back to Ireland. But I'm so thrilled. I can't tell you how knocked out I'm getting this prize. And also, I think after winning this glorious award, I might earn a bit more next year. And next year, I'll buy you all a drink, and thank you so much.
One of the things we love about your writing is, of course, the humour in it. Do you work hard to put that humour in, or does it just emerge in the writing as you're going along?
No, I think it's very, very sad, because my darling husband died 3 years ago, and he was the funniest man in the world, and so all his jokes went straight into Rupert. I mean, he was very, very naughty. I remember he said once, Daily Mail said, "What does Gilly wear in bed?" And he said, "Dogs mostly."
How much research do you do, and how much does it get in the way then when you actually sit down to write the story?
A lot. It's a very good question. For this last book, I've got about 10 notebooks which say "crucial to add," and they don't get added at all. So I mean, I think I'm a journalist, and I think journalists like researching, and it's much easier than writing the book when you're doing research first.
Now, so many people have written about sex and humour and mixed it all up, but not had your success. What is it about your books, do you think, that have made readers like me flock back time and time again?
I do think I have happy endings. And also, I think I have a lot of heroism and a few laughs and quite a lot of sex.
And let's talk about the sex. You know, a lot of research obviously went into those
Well, I'm so old now, this is the awful thing. I've forgotten how to do it.
Thank you so much for joining us here in Dublin this evening. We're thrilled to have you. Welcome back. We've plenty of awards left to go, and I'd like to remind you that you can vote for your favourite book of the year from all the winners tonight. Simply log on to irishbookawards.ie and vote to select the overall Bord Gáis Energy Book of the Year. Now, the vote closes on the 9th of December, and the winner will be announced on Tuesday, the 13th of December. In the meantime, back to the main stage and Keelan Shanley.
We have the Irish Independent Popular Fiction Book of the Year. As always, a hugely competitive category. Let's look at the nominees.
Game of Throw-ins, Ross O'Carroll Kelly, Penguin Ireland. Lyrebird, Cecilia Hearn, Harper Collins. Rebel Sisters, Marita Codlin McKenna, Transworld Ireland. The Girl from the Savoy, Hazel Gaynor, Harper Collins. The Privileged, Emily Hurricane, Hachette Books Ireland. Holding, Graham Norton, Hodron Stoughton.
Well, now I'm joined on stage by Rachel Dugan, who's books editor of the Irish Independent. Rachel, you have our winner.
I do indeed. The Irish Independent Popular Fiction Book of the Year goes to Graham Norton for Holding.
Thank you very much. I am aware this is slightly ludicrous and I'm embarrassed, really. Thrilled, and I'm taking it home, but embarrassed. Like I say, I'm not a real writer, so I'm sort of embarrassed that I've taken a prize away from actual writers. The only thing I would say in consolation is that what a great category we're in. What a lovely thing to be in, popular fiction. You know, when I was young, popular seemed like such a bad thing. You know, you wanted to be cool. I remember I would sit in lectures in UCC. Actually, John Montague was one of my lecturers in UCC. I'm so sorry for everything. But back then, you wanted to be one of the cool kids. You wanted to be one of the cool kids. And even when I started on television, you wanted to be one of the cool kids, do cool programs. And now I've ended up on kind of BBC One on Friday nights. And you suddenly realise, actually, the mainstream is quite a nice place to be. Popular is a good thing to be, and it's nice to tell stories that people respond to and a lot of people like. So it means a lot to be in this category. It's an odd time to enter the world of fiction when reality is telling us stories we could never have imagined. But it's a world I really enjoy. So I hope to write another book, and if I do, it's your fault. You have encouraged me. Thank you very much. This really means a lot. Thanks a lot.
So Graham Norton, your second win here. I interviewed you here 2 years ago for your biography, but you're back this time as an award-winning fiction writer.
I know, it's wrong. It's embarrassing and it's wrong. I felt so bad because there are actual writers sat out there having just had a dinner thinking, well, surely I'll win. That creature off the television can't win. But he did. So I'm taking it home. I'm not that embarrassed, but it's lovely. It's very nice to win a prize.
The critical response to this book has been fantastic. How has that felt for you?
Well, I suppose my honest reaction to nice reviews to this book is always, how bad did they think it was going to be? I always feel like they sort of must have thought, this book is going to be torture to read. I will weep blood by the time I finish this book. And it's, you know what I mean? So I think, in a way, I benefited from very low expectations.
What's fascinating about the book is that we associate you with glamour on Friday nights and all these Hollywood stars, but you were spending your days with these very gentle and some quite crazy creatures in this fictional village of Duneen in Cork. You were spending your days with the local, overweight sergeant and the teachers and, all the local members of the community. Were you going back to your childhood and to your past for those characters, or tell us a little bit about the world you created?
Well, it was a way of getting me out of the book, because I think the great thing about being Graham Norton off the telly is you get a book deal. Oh, see, I'm so annoying. But so that's the good thing. But the bad thing, I think, is because, when you read a book, what's lovely about it is it's so intimate. There's nothing more intimate than that. Just you and that world. I never think about who wrote a book when I'm reading it. I'm terrible at remembering authors' names, everything. So I wanted to make myself as absent from this book as I could. But then they say, write about what you know.
But did you have to stop yourself? I mean, did you actually say, that's a Graham Norton line,
No, it was a decision. It was a decision that I would write about what I knew, but I knew that actually my life is so extraordinary and bizarre that I had to keep going back to try and find something that was a bit universal. And that's why I ended up in West Cork.
So you're going to keep writing fiction?
I'd like to. I would like to. And look, it's your fault. The people have encouraged me. Board Gosh have given me a prize for the writing. Why wouldn't I do more?
Well, you are welcome back in our green room anytime, fiction or non-fiction.
Thank you.
Graham
Very
Norton,
kind of you.
huge congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Now, next up, the Ireland AM Popular Non-Fiction Book of the Year. This category produces some of the most successful books in publishing today, just the kinds of books that are very likely to end up in your Christmas stockings. Here are the nominations.
Adventures of a Wonky-Eyed Boy, Jason Byrne, Gill Books. Fat Chance, Louise McSharry, Penguin Ireland. Making It Up As I Go Along, Marion Keyes, Michael Joseph. Pippa O'Connor, Penguin Ireland. Talking to Strangers, Michael Harding, Hachette Books Ireland. Mr. Pussy, Before I Forget to Remember, Alan Amsby with David Kenny, New Island Books.
Well, I'm joined now on stage by Sinead Desmond from Ireland AM. Sinead, you have our winner.
I do indeed. The Ireland AM Popular Non-Fiction Book of the Year 2016 is one of my favourite women of all time. It is the wonderful Marion Keyes.
Thank you. This is absolutely wonderful. I really wasn't expecting this, and thank you to everyone who's voted for me. And I mean, just thank you to everybody. I'm delighted and honoured, and thank you.
Marion Keyes, you're a busy woman tonight because you were here earlier to present the award for Julie Cooper.
Yes.
Let's start with that. How cool was that?
Listen, honest to God, it was one of the highlights of my life. I have read her books since the early 80s. And my circumstances were very, very different then. And if I had ever known back in those miserable days in a freezing flat in Rathmines that I would one day be presenting her with an award, you know, it would have blown my mind. It is such an honour. I love her. I love her books.
Now, one of the things that's interesting about this collection for which you've won the award tonight is that it's non-fiction, obviously.
Yeah.
When you write fiction, there is a veil there. You know, you've privacy, or you can hide a little bit. With this, you can't.
It's different because, I mean, they're shorter and they're about something specific. But it's a pleasure to write. I mean, I particularly like travel writing. It's something I enjoy, kind of, you know, humorous takes on the whole thing.
You know, how important is it for you to have humour in there? Like, is it just there on the page for you, or do you sit down and go, oh God, I better up the humour there now, that's not so funny?
No, it's entirely an extension of how I deal with life. And I actually think it's a very Irish thing. I know that's a kind of a cliche, but I think we have always used humour as a survival mechanism. You know, you can laugh or you can cry, and I would rather laugh. You know, a lot of people have kind of given me kind advice and told me, you know, really love, if you'd like to be taken seriously, knock off the humour and knock off the happy endings. And we'll all respect you a bit more, you know. And I think, thanks, that's lovely advice, but I'm grand. It's who I am, and I'm unable to do anything about it, for good or for bad.
Now, you've spoken publicly in the past about demons in your life, I suppose. And in the book, I was intrigued by this thing you had about happy all the time.
Yeah.
And that once you realise that actually that doesn't really need to happen for you to be happy and content.
I mean, I've lived a lot of my life in the public eye, and I've been extraordinarily fortunate and lucky. And I've also suffered, you know, I mean, I live with alcoholism, and I had a very kind of unpleasant breakdown. And it just goes to show that everybody's life is full of patterns and tapestry, and it doesn't matter who you are or how fortunate you've been, that the painful stuff still happens. And when the happy stuff happens, jump on it, like appreciate it, be grateful for it. And I mean, I really am.
Marion Keyes, what a joy to have you here.
A
And
pleasure.
huge congratulations
Thank you,
on your win.
I'm thrilled.
Thank you very much. Marion Keyes.
Thank you. Thank
And now next up, it's the Specsavers Children's Book of the Year Senior category. These are the books that both entertain and speak to their teenage readers about the things that matter in their lives, about the issues that affect them all so deeply. The 6 books shortlisted here are
Knights of the Borrowed Dark, Dave Rudden, Puffin. The Book of Shadows, E.R. Murray, Mercier Press. The Making of Molly, Anna Carey, The O'Brien Press. Needlework, Deirdre Sullivan, Little Island Books. Nothing Tastes as Good, Claire Hennessy, Hotkey Books. Blood, Cecilia Hearn, HarperCollins Children's Books.
such a great shortlist this year. And Sinead Clohessy of Specsavers Ireland is here with me with the winner. Sinead.
And the Specsavers Children's Book of the Year Senior 2016 goes to Dave Rudden for Knights of a Borrowed Dark.
Hello. You all look amazing. I never quite managed to look amazing. From like here to here, it's like Mad Men, and then it's here to look a madman. Cool. Thank you. You're great. Goodbye. Oh, sorry. Oh, no. I don't know.
What a great start to your career as a young adult writer. How do you feel about winning this award for Knights of the Borrowed Dark?
My heartbeat is through the roof. My adrenaline is just, I don't know, I'm not making any sense whatsoever, so I apologise in advance. I'm delighted, I really am. This is amazing.
One of the reviews that Dave Rudden got was full of attitude, beautifully set up and executed. Rudden is an author to watch.
Oh, that's very nice.
You are now an award-winning author to watch.
Oh, I can totally say that now. That's great. I'm going to carry this around like my tiny glass baby for the rest of my life. It's going to be great.
What you can do now is go into all the bookshops. You're from Cavan, aren't you?
I am indeed.
And put the sticker on, Irish book winner, you see?
I totally can. That's going to be great.
Finally then, where are you with your next book?
So book 2 is done and dusted. There's more monsters, more terror, more anxiety, more kind of like magic and fun. And then I'm currently halfway through the second draft of book 3, which is sort of like, you know when you're putting your tent back into a bag after a festival? The first couple of zips have gone okay, and I'm just like, it's going fine. It'll be fine. It'll be grand.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we come now to the Bob Hughes Lifetime Achievement Award, which honours the true greats of Irish writing. The writer who receives this award is going to be joining a pantheon that includes John McGahern, Edna O'Brien, Maeve Binchy, Seamus Heaney, Jennifer Johnston and Paul Durcan. These are the writers that we cherish, the writers whose genius has been declared, whose lifetime of wonderful work has left an indelible mark on our culture. Let's take a look at tonight's recipients' monumental achievements.
He wanted to write a poetry that was simple and serious and passionate.
He could see things that other people didn't see, I think, was the extraordinary thing about him. He was a kind of a seer.
It's as if he has an innate understanding of how the world does or doesn't work.
He has a poignant line that haunts me always from the rough field, with all my circling a failure to return. And there is always that sense that there is a paradise lost, but the boy with a heart full of hope is always there in John.
There's a vocabulary and there's a vision that is imprinted on a whole generation.
There is something almost angelic about John. Now, I say almost.
John was on the phone to me. He said, look, I have a book of poetry called Death of a Chieftain. Chieftains would be a great name. So That's how we got the name from John, the Chieftains. He often used to say to me, you know, I should be getting some, I gave you that name, the Chieftains, you know. I said, thank you, John, bye-bye, happy Christmas, love to mother.
He was exactly the same kind of person then as he is now. Sometimes a little bit difficult, and sometimes the most wonderful man you've ever met.
The one who continues, the one who survives the darkness and shows us light from it, is certainly one to applaud.
Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, to present the Bob Hughes Lifetime Achievement Award, please welcome broadcaster and writer John Kelly.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. When I was a teenager, every Saturday afternoon, after playing football in what we called, appropriately enough, given the lives we led at the time, the complex, I'd walk home through the town of Enniskillen, through the control zone, where I'd get my bag searched in case it contained something rather more incendiary than the NME. I'd check out the new LPs in Woolworths, and then I'd make my way to the end of the wonderfully named Darling Street, where there was a bookshop called Hall's. And there down the back, in the bottom right-hand corner, there was a poetry section, and that's where I found John Montague. And so as it got dark outside, I would stand there in the bright lights of the shop, reading poetry. And in the case of John Montague, I was reading poetry about the very ground I was standing on. Yes, he was from Tyrone, but even so. Here was someone writing about a world I sincerely hoped at that stage I was just passing through, this almost utterly dysfunctional place called the North. But here in these poems, I could see that there might be more to it. And I found in them a history that was perhaps no longer valued, or known, or supposed to be known. The poems were an education, an amplification, and a pleasure. Quite recently, I was lucky enough to spend some time with John and Elizabeth at their home in Nice. This is for the Works Presents, and they were both great company, and John was a generous and mischievous interviewee. Poetry, he told me, is a weapon. I asked him what he meant by that, and if you want to know what he said, you'll have to watch the programme. A Lifetime Achievement Award, if it's to mean anything, must surely be given to someone who has done the work and lived the life. A life of dedication, of total commitment, in this case to poetry. Now I know that John's a chevalier in France, but in my part of the world, he's the great and necessary poet from the neighbouring county. And tonight, here in the Pale, it's my honour, on behalf of all of us, to express our gratitude and our respect. It's my great privilege to present the Bob Hughes Lifetime Achievement Award to John Montague.
Drink out of it. So this is a fairly recent poem, and it's written out in hand, so I may get stuck reading it. I was looking at the moon the other night, at the special moon, this kind of super moon it was called in the papers. And this little poem came. The stars still sing, even if, clamorous mortals, we cannot hear them, chorusing their silver music, silent nocturnes. A new astronomy is needed to marry the scientific and the mythical, the musical and magical, the gleaming mathematical. As a child I lay trying to hear them like the astronomer princes of the old world, keeping a vigil, attending a miracle. I think that's enough for the time being.
finally, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the Eason Book Club Novel of the Year. This is the award that started it all back in 2003 when John McGahern won for his classic novel, That They May Face the Rising Sun. Well, this year's shortlist contains two previous winners, Emma Donoghue and Sebastian Barry. But there's a distinctly experimental dimension to some of the other nominated books, a reflection perhaps of the direction in which the literary novel is now headed. So, for the very last time this evening, indeed for this year, let's look at the nominations.
All We Shall Know, Donal Ryan, Doubleday Ireland, Days Without End, Sebastian Barry, Faber and Faber, Solar Bones, Mike McCormack, Tramp Press, The Lesser Bohemians, Emer McBride, Faber and Faber, The Wonder, Emma Donoghue, Picador, This Must Be the Place, Maggie O'Farrell, Tinder Press.
Well, there we have the nominations. David Field, Commercial Trading Director with Eason, is now going to announce the winner.
Thank you very much. The Eason Book Club Novel of the Year for 2016 goes to Mike McCormack for Solar Bones. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd be sharing an arena with Paul O'Connell and Graham Norton. One of the things that's come to light since I published this book is that I have no memory of writing it. None at all. I just know that at 2:30 on the morning of January the 20th, I sent it to my agent, and 8 or 9 hours later I became a dad. So the birth of my son has rose up between me and my book, and so while I have no memory of this book, and I don't think I'll ever kind of recapture any memory of it, I do know that I will remember this night. Thank you very much.
So, Mike, once again, huge congratulations on winning your award. Now,
thank you.
Book awards are a bit like buses from town, none for ages, and then suddenly two come along in a row. Obviously, you won the Goldsmiths Prize very recently, and then here you are tonight with the Eason Book Club Novel of the Year. What kind of affirmation does this give to you about this book?
It affirms what my publishers thought of the book when they picked it up. They read it and they spoke to me about it, and they told me that it worked and that it was a book that they had complete faith in, and that they said that there is an audience out there for this book. I said, it's an awkward proposition. It's a middle-aged man, a happy middle-aged man, and it's a continuous outpour of a book. Do you really think that there are people out there who will go for it? And they said yes.
Let's talk about the form of the book, because it has this form that lots of people are talking about. It's, one long sentence as such. What was it about that form that drew you? Why give yourself that challenge?
Quite early in the writing of the book, I realised that it was a ghost that was speaking, and the more I thought about the way a ghost would speak, the more it seemed to me that a ghost would have no interest in full stops, and that a ghost would actually shy away from full stops, and that it would be more likely to look for continuance and ongoingness. And once that idea presented itself to me, then the book picked up a running kind of systolic rhythm, and it ran with it, and it was just a question of finding proper transitions between the subjects and the moods of the book after that.
You're not afraid of being modern at all in the middle of it all, so next thing I knew I'd forgotten all about it. It felt as real, as fresh as any other kind of fiction that one would read.
Good. It's part of the feedback, and again it vindicates my agent and publishers, is that they said people are going to find this book readable. And that seems to be the case, that people have said that it's a funny sort of an experiment. It's a readable experiment.
Well, I hope it's not so long until you write your next one and we have you back here again.
Oh, thank you very much.
But for now, Mike McCormack, huge congratulations with Solar Bones.
Thank you very much.
Other winners tonight included Journal.ie. Best Irish Published Book of the Year was The Glass Shore, edited by Sinead Gleeson.
The Glass Shore exists because The Long Gaze Back exists, and The Long Gaze Back is part of an ongoing conversation that was started by people like Ruth Carr and Evelyn Conlon and everybody else who tried to look at the issue of imbalance when people are left out and when women are left out, whether it's on panels or manels or in anthologies or whether it's on the national stage.
The Specsavers Children's Book of the Year Junior was Kathleen Watkins and Margaret Ann Suggs for Piggin of Howth.
Granny is delighted. I don't know what to say. I have nothing ready. I didn't expect it. I have to say Piggin and Badger don't even know there's an awards ceremony on this evening. They're getting their green jerseys ready for Saturday.
The Ireland AM Crime Fiction Book of the Year was Tana French for The Trespasser.
The Trespasser is a book about the power of stories, that ferocious and transformative power that they can have. And it is amazing to be in a room full of people who believe in that power and who champion it and support it. Not just the writers who create these books, but the publishers who bring them to us and the booksellers who champion them. So thank you to all of you, as stories are, that power becomes more and more important all the time.
The Avonmore Cookbook of the Year winners were Stephen and David Flynn for The World of the Happy Pair.
There's only one of me here tonight, sorry. Steve had a new kid, so he's busy. I feel so honoured to be here. It's such an amazing night, so thank you to Board Gosh.
Listowel Writers' Week Irish Poem of the Year
was Jane Clark's In Glasnevin.
What an honour. Thank you so much to everybody who voted for all the poems, and an honour this year being the first year of this award, and it being the year of John Montague's award as well. That really adds to it.
Orla McAlinden's The Visit won the Writing.ie Short Story of the Year.
I think we all know that episode of Friends where Joey is up for an award and he doesn't win it, and the camera pans onto him and he's cursing and swearing. And I've been so busy thinking about don't do that, that I've actually forgotten to prepare anything to say. So thank you very much.
The Sunday Independent Newcomer of the Year was won by E.M. Reapy for Red Dirt.
It's really hard, you know, to try and make it as a writer, and my family and friends have just had my back, and also the writing community in Ireland is amazing. Thank you so much. Cheers.
And I'd like to remind you that you can vote for your favourite book of the year from all the winners tonight. Simply log on to irishbookawards.ie and vote to select the overall Bord Gáis Energy Book of the Year. Now the vote closes on the 9th of December and the winner will be announced on Tuesday, the 13th of December.
Well now, my sincere thanks to everybody here with us this evening, especially Evelyn O'Rourke, who's been working away backstage, and to everyone else who took part in tonight's awards. Thank you for being with us this evening. We look forward to seeing you again next year. In the meantime, happy reading.
And of course, thank you, the audience, and all the readers who've journeyed with us through this year's Book Awards. So from me, Evelyn O'Rourke, Slán agus Beannacht.